Okay. Let me explain that. So what this demo session, there are so more number of people are expected. So there are a couple of people. That's fine. So here, as a Java full stack developer, let's make this session as an interactive session. What are the doubts you have? To best of my ability, I will answer your questions. Yeah. As a Java full stack developer, what you should know, and what we are going to cover, and now end of the course. So what uh, kind of projects we would be developing. These are the main things I would be discussing about that here. When you join any organizations, let's take it as a Java backend developer or front-end developer, the first skill you must have, working with your source code, how to manage my source code, and how to work in a team. So the collaborating with the team. So how you are going to do that, the code base, how you will be handling, that's very important. So the first thing is we must know Git. So our session starts with the Git. What is a Git and how we are going to use the Git, and how do you push the code, pull the code when there is a merge conflict, how you will be solving that, how to create a PR, and if there is any comments on the PR, how we are going to resolve those comments. This is what we would be explaining, and we would be using the GitHub. You are going to use it here, github.com. This is a place where we'll ask you to create an account, and then you will what are the comments we are going to explain. You will be practicing that here, and we will create it as a group, and where somebody will be pushing the code. So once you push the code, if you by mistakenly, if both are worked on the same file, there would be a merge conflicts. So these all the terminology. If you are already familiar, it's good. If not, you must familiar with the, hey, I created a PR. Somebody says in the team, no, you must understand that PR is somebody has to review that code, and if everything is fine, then that is going to be merged to the respective branches, and there would be a multiple stages. No, the code, whatever you are working, you'll work in a feature branch, then from the feature branch to the, it has to take to the main branch. So under that branching strategy, how to do that, those all things will be explained in the first when we start the session itself. Once we are done with that here, then you must get familiar with the uh, you must get familiar with the dev environment. No, so when you're doing your dev env, hey, what is the Java version you are going to use it here, and what IDs we are going to use it here. No, as a Java developer, you are going to work on the three things. Okay, one is a backend application. This is a backend. Okay, you would be writing all your APIs. This backend APIs will be talking to the, it will be talking to the databases. It will talk to the database. This is a, you can take it as a database. You're going to take it here. Database. It could be any database. Yeah, it could be any database. You're going to take the, this is going to talk to the database, and there would be a front end application. Okay, this is a front end application. Whatever you developed here, this is a front end application. You're going to take it here. So this is a mainly three components, and these backend services may talk to the other services also. There may be some other application, payment gateways integration, or something you are taking here. It would have the different different applications. It will have it here, different apps where your application may talk to that here. Like one is the best one is payment gateway. When you're doing that here, so you have to, from your backend application, you need to call this some external APIs. We need to call it here. You need to call some external APIs. You have to call that here, and then it is going to call the database as well. And finally, your front end application would be, this front end application could be anything. It can be a web application, it can be an Android application, it can be a iOS application. So this Android application would talk to the the backend application. The backend applications may talk to the other apps or database, and finally it is going to respond back to the front-end application. At a high level, this is what all any application the the implementation would be. So when you are developing the APIs and like you have a flexibility to use any front end, uh, mobile and then web applications. When you want to provide that flexibility, this is the way you will be doing that here. So and at the same time, this finally you are going to build this application, the front end application, whatever you developed, you would be building, and you are going to deploy into the some server, some cloud service. You are going to deploy that here, and even this is also it is going to run it in. You will do the Dockerization or hey, sorry guys, so there was a power issue. Okay, is it my screen is visible? Can someone confirm, please? Can you hear me? Can someone confirm, please?
It's visible.
Okay, cool. So here you are going to like no, this is a database. You are going to run it here, and at the same time you have a database. And this service also already it will be running in somewhere else. These all these things applications we need to manage that here. You have to deploy somewhere. So for that you would be taking the one of the cloud services. You would be taking that here. Like if you take the AWS, or you may be taking the something render.com, render.com or slash AWS, or you may take the GCP, Google Cloud Platform you are taking here. Whatever application I am developing here, this application is going to deploy into the one of this environment. You are going to deploy that here, and this will be typically will be taken care by the DevOps. Like as a backend developer, as a full stack developer, you must aware of the all these components, how this works, and when something goes wrong here, how to tell the DevOps guys, and at the same time should be comfortable working in a front end, back end, and database, and this. So this is what as a application developer you are expected to know. So the application from front end to back end and managing the application, everything you're expected to know. Now here in when you're taking the dev environment, during the application starts itself, every organization they will use the standard tools like now. So if I'm using the here, you are going to use the Oracle JDK. So 23 or 24, whatever the latest version, we would be taking that here. Every 6 months, Java is releasing the new version. They are releasing that. So we need not to worry about that. Every release, we are not going to upgrade it and like projects. Typically, if there is a big change and a big advantage, so then you will be upgrading that. But definitely people has to upgrade their the projects, like no, so at least 1 or 2 versions down. You cannot be like no running your application Java 5 or Java 6 because Java is now 24. Then what happens when you are trying to migrate? Then it will have the big problems. Typically, what the people do that here, they will upgrade at least 1 or 2 versions less than that. They will ensure that their uh, the project is maintainable and up to the current versions it would be. That anyhow, we need not to worry. That's a call which the company is taking. We have to see that. Now here we need one IDE. I'm going to use the IntelliJ IDEA, IntelliJ IDEA. So which you are going to take here. The community edition, we are going to take it here. So this is a community edition is good enough for us to learn. So this is the one IDE we required here. And yeah, this is the one. Another one is we are going to install the VS Code. This is another Visual Studio Code we need it here. Uh, then in order to interact with the database, we require a DB client. Like now my DB is running in some cloud service and I want to connect from my local machine to the DB service. We required a DB client. That's a DBer is required here. Okay, there is another tool name called the DBer. This is a universal database client, DBer. Okay, this is a DBer is a tool which is a universal database client which can connect with any of these databases. It is going to connect it here. These are the main things it's required, and you need to choose the build tool. Hey, am I going to use the Maven or Gradle? So what is a build tool you are going to use it here? That also you should get familiar with that here. You can install the either Maven or Gradle. As a Java developer, these are the things you must install in your local machine. This is a dev environment setup. You are going to do that here. Before you are developing any of these applications, you should ensure that these things has been installed. These things has been installed, and you are like no, the things are the dev environment setup is proper, and this dev environment as possible as like no industry what they are using and what are the tools are using. Just we are going to use that. Once you've done that here, then we will get start with the our discussion with the fundamentals of the programming. These fundamentals of the programming can be learned with any programming languages, but we have chosen that as a Java. You are going to choose that here. When it comes to the Java has got the three things: JSE, JEE, JME. These are the three flavors. You can say that here. JSE is a Java Standard Edition, Enterprise, and Micro Edition. We may not touch this Micro Edition. We would be using the JSE and JEE. Whenever you want to develop a standalone and desktop applications, we would be using the JSE. And when you are taking the JEE, enterprise grade applications, when you are building server and like deploying the code and it's distributed applications, when you want to develop that here, we would be using the JEE. For our convenience, we will say it as a JSE as a core Java. We are going to say it as a core Java. This is a place where we would be learning all the programming fundamentals. How to write a Java program, how to compile, and when you compile, what happens, and how this uh, Java works. Then, like, understanding the basic components, like basic elements, like, if conditions, for loop, while loop, what is a class, what is object. So then collections, threads, and like reflection, annotations. What are the main concepts? Core concepts are there. All these concepts I would be discussing in the core Java. Core Java you are going to discuss here. And once you are done with this core Java, like no, this core Java definitely it is going to help you once you learn this core Java. Now you have an option like I am done with my core Java and I understood the all the programming concepts very well. And here you can decide that suppose you it is not exciting you or you feel that like no hey your interests are something different, then you have an option to either with this knowledge you can move to the uh, uh, test automation developer as a Selenium developer. You can go ahead, or you can go with the Android developer. So here you can choose your career in two ways. One is like no, so you can go it as a automation side. Another one is you can go with the Android developer. Android developer, you can go here. So this is a knowledge, the core Java knowledge must to go to the automation side or Android side. Cool. Once you've done that here, this is a place where we would be introducing you to the all the core Java when you're learning that here, how to work with the external files like no, how we are working with the JSON, XML, and properties. Okay, sorry. Properties files and ML files. And ML files. What is this ML file? Working with the PDF, Excel. These are the things you will be learning as a part of the core Java. Along with the core concepts, you will be learning about the typically what are the file systems so the people would be working here is a JSON, XML, then properties, ML, PDF, and Excel files. So these things you'll get familiar with that. And once you are done with that here, what are the data you are storing or what are the data you are handling, everything you are going to handle it in memory. We want to persist this data in a durable manner. That's a place where we are going to learn about the database. When you're learning about the database, we are going to learn about the database. When you're learning about the database, so to interact with this database, we need to know the language called it's not language. Yeah, it's a standards. This is a SQL. So you would be learning the SQL, and here in this SQL, you would be using the dviewer. It is like this. I'm going to take my database client. This is a database client called the dviewer. We are going to take it here. Dviewer, we are going to take it here. And my database is running in some cloud. Okay. It can be running in a cloud or it can run it in a local also. Maximum, we will try to use the cloud databases. So there is no point in installing the softwares on your machine. And this dviewer, what are the instructions I want to tell that here? Hey, there would be a lot of tables here. I want to get the data from this table. These are the columns I want to get it that you will send it as a SQL. You are going to, by using the dviewer, you would establish the connection with this particular database. And whatever you want to ask it here, you would be writing one SQL query. And that SQL query will be sent to the DB server and it will execute and it is going to return the result. That result you are going to see in the dviewer, you are going to see that here. So this is the DB client, you are going to use it and you would be getting the data or inserting the data. All these things you do that here. But in applications, what do you do? Your application should act like a dviewer. Like now you are going to write a one Java application. This Java application needs to talk to the database. Now I'm going to develop a one Java application I'm developing here. I'm developing the Java application. My database is running here. I need to communicate with this database. This Java application has to talk to these databases. In order to talk to these databases, you need a interface. We need an interface which will convert your Java calls into the DB calls to the Java calls. For that, we use something called the JDBC. We are going to use something called the JDBC. This JDBC, whenever you make a call, it will go through this JDBC API and it will be translated into the DB calls. And at the same time, the DB calls are, again, it will come to the JDBC, which would be translated to the Java. So this DBOR also uses this concept, but it has been abstracted. Here as a developer, you are going to write this code and we will be talking to the databases. In order to talk to this database, you must have the knowledge on the SQL. Regardless what relational database you are using, there will be plenty of databases are available in the market. The Oracle, DB2, Derby, then you have a MS SQL. Lot of servers are available, database servers are available, but you would be using the one of the server, and you are going to learn the SQL you are learning. You are not learning the either Postgres SQL or DB2 or MySQL or Oracle. So instead, you are learning the SQL. This SQL is the SQL group. They have given the standards. Any database they are claiming that it's a relational database, they have to follow the standards. And by if you learn the standards, you can go and comfortably work with the any relational databases. Again, databases also, if you look at here, I'll just to show you that here. Yeah, somebody has a question. Go ahead, please. Yeah, somebody microphone is on. If you have a question, you can go ahead, please. You see here, these are the databases are available. Most commonly used databases are this many databases are there. Okay, there are no SQL databases. These are the no SQL databases, and the SQL databases are these many databases are there. In your company or the company which you are going to work, or like no, they are going to use the one of these databases, or maybe multiple databases might be using that. Okay, so here we are going to use the Postgres SQL. We are going to use it here, or we can use the even MySQL also. So we would be using the Postgres SQL. You would be using that here. Cool. Now this is what you would be learning as a next step. Once you are done with that here, by this time you would be getting familiar with the how to work with the JIT, how to work with the Maven, and working with the XML files and writing the or creating the Java projects as a Maven project or multi-module project, how to create that. And then you are going to learn SQL, and then you are learning the JDBC. So here also the same option. Like now, this JDBC knowledge may not required in this automation and Android, but it's good to have. So once you said that here, this at this point of time, if you are unable to take the decision, again you have another option. Once you complete the JDBC, again you can revisit this. Like now, whether should I go with this or this? If you are going it as a full stack developer, then the next thing is you are going to learn about the UI. You would be learning the UI. This is a place where you are going to learn. Here we are using the VS Code. We are going to use it here as ID. VS Code, Visual Studio Code. We are going to use it here. And this is a place how your web page has to build. What are the UI libraries or frameworks are available. You should get familiar with that here. So if you are not using any frameworks, if you are developing these simple web pages, like generally we will go with the HTML, CSS, okay, JavaScript, jQuery, okay, then you will be using the Bootstrap. Okay, these are the things mainly you will use it here. In order to develop a simple web page, you are going to develop the HTML, CSS, JavaScript, jQuery, and Bootstrap. You are going to use it here. Suppose you want to go with the frameworks, you are going to use the Android. Angular. And if you are using if you want to use the library SPA pages, you want to develop that here, you would be using the Angular or React. Any one of these things. There is something called the foundation. One more is there. Vue.js, sorry, not foundation, Vue.js. We can use that here. But majority of the projects, they use either Angular or React. Angular, React. So once you get familiar with these things, then you can go and learn about the Angular or React you are going to learn. One of these things you would be learning. And then you can say that no, you will get familiar with the how to work, how to build a web page, how to interact with the APIs, and so how do you develop the component based application? These all these things you would be learning in the UI. Once you are done with that UI, I got familiar with the programming language. I learned about the UI. This is a place where we are going to learn the Java enterprise technologies, and this enterprise technologies we will learn through the Spring framework. The Spring framework, and we to build this Spring framework application, we would be using the Spring Boot. This is a place where you will get familiar with the how what is the server and how we are going to develop a MVC applications, how to write the API. There are multiple modules are available. There is something called the core module, then JDBC module, JPA, then MVC, then AOP, okay, security, okay, security. These are the some of the most commonly used modules. By using these modules, you are going to develop the enterprise grade application where you will take this application, you will be deploying into the you will be deploying into the uh, one of the cloud hosting services you are going to deploy. And once you deploy this application, the UI developers are going to consume those APIs, and they would be developing the UI they are going to develop, and how you are going to secure your APIs. If there is any cross-cut concerns, how we are going to handle it, everything you would be taking care of this. What are the Java, core Java knowledge you learned, those things, and what are the Spring framework is providing, and by taking that knowledge and this available features, by using that, you are going to develop the enterprise grade applications. You would be developing that here. And this is a place where like this by default, the Spring Boot, it comes with the Apache Tomcat or Jetty, any one of these servers. You can use the Apache Tomcat, you will be using that here. You will build it as a service, and that service you are going to deploy. Okay, if you are deploying the multiple services and if you are they are talking each other, that's nothing but the microservices. So how you are going to build this application, how we are going to deploy to the server, and when you are deploying to the server, you would once you deploy to the server, there you will be encountering some of the issues, how to work with the log files, what is the log files and how to see the log files, and um, log files, and how you are going to view the log files. If there is any problem, how you are going to troubleshoot, and when you are running these applications. And at the same time here, when you are using the when you're learning the core Java, you should get familiar with the IDE also, how to debug my application, and how we are going to use the shortcuts. These all the things you must familiar with that. These things you learn in the when you're learning the core Java itself. Once you are done with this year, and this all these things has to be automatically automated, and it has to be deployed. Whenever the code is changed, then that should go on to deploy your code. For that, you are going to use the CI CD tools. You are going to use it here. CI CD tools, you would be using that here. So either GitHub Actions, or you may be using the Jenkins, how to use that and how we are going to automate these steps. We will be learning about that. So finally, you will deploy this application end to end, both the UI application and the server side application and the database you will be deploying into the cloud. Yeah, this is a step. And you will be seeing that, hey, what are the, you can give this URL to the people somebody who wants to test that, you can do that here. Any hobby projects you are creating or any learning projects you are creating without spending any amount, there are a lot of pre-hosting services are available. We will be leveraging those pre-hosting services, and finally we are going to develop the end-to-end applications. We are going to develop that. Then you may get the doubt that hey, what kind of projects you will develop? What kind of projects you would be developing that? That's a question you will be asking that here. What are the code I'm going to do in the classroom? Everything will be pushed to the GitHub. Here, if you look at here, this is where we started our application. If we are taking here, the first one is we will be taking it as a core Java. Okay, learning core Java. And what are the examples I'm doing here? What are the examples you are doing here? Everything it will be put it in separate module, and this entire code will be pushed to the GitHub. Suppose if I'm doing here the simplest example, when I'm learning the UI, hey, what kind of applications I learned? Learning UI, if I'm going here, open in a Finder. I'm going to see this here. So I'm going to open with the terminal. I'd be writing the dismiss tape code data. Okay, I'm going to open with the Visual Studio Code, nothing else I am doing here. And I learned this year, learning basics. Hey, what is this I'm learning and how it is going to be useful for me. If I open this here, this is going to run it here. Like now, when you're learning the basics of the JavaScript, this is a basic thing, like no on and off something. Here we want to increase the size, whether it is increasing or not, show alert, and like no, what is it to change to show the system date, what is the date, to work with the form, like no, I'm going to take the 3 and 1, 2 I'm taking here, add, subtract, multiply, division, and like no, this how this event works and all these things. Once you get the fundamentals correct, then we are going to take the, this is the IPL data this year, IPL data, which player has bid more amount. Like no, this is a place where you are going to take the player.json. You would be taking the player.json. This JSON data, we are going to take this JSON data we are taking. And after taking this JSON data, like no, if you show this JSON data, people may not they may not understand like no what exactly this data is. This data you are reading in a JavaScript and we are going to convert into this. Hey, I want to show that here, each team, how much amount they have spent and the role wise, okay, how many players are there and the maximum amount of the each team, which is the team has spent more money. This is the one, LSG is the one which spent the 27 crores on the Rishabh Pant, followed by the Shreyas Iyer. That's a one, and next one is a Venkatesh Iyer. Then it is a, so Klassen is a 23 crores. Like no, each team, what is the maximum amount? If you take the RR, maximum is 18 crores. But this is a team where they spend the 27 crores they have spent on that here. So if I show that this JSON data, you may not get it that here. Like no, the same data it is there. So if I'm taking the, okay, Pant, if I'm taking here, this is the guy who has taken. But here it's a finding that it's a difficult. If you look at the visually, it is very simple and easy. No, these are the players. Top 5 amounts paid players are, these are the players. Okay, Indians are top 3, and then overseas players are 2 players who are paid the maximum amount. Then each team, how many players are there? Just I want to get it here. If I'm taking the CSK, the CSK highest was paid was Ruturaj Gaikwad, and who is a 118, and 2 people are paid that here. This is a application. Then if I'm taking the external APIs, suppose I want to, there is some website called the News API. How do I get that to News API? By using their APIs, I want to get the news item, news I want to get it here. Now here, if I'm taking the United States and I want to get the sports news, just I'm clicking on this sports news. These are the sports news, like no, in the US. Okay. Top sports news items. Then if I'm taking the technology, what is the technology side? Okay, just you are going to get this here. And if I'm seeing here the business, if I'm getting here the business news, you would be getting that here. This is the one. Okay. These are news items you are getting here. How to interact with the APIs and how you will be developing that applications, you will learn about that. This is a contact book application. This is connecting with the server side. If the server is down and there you are not getting the data, otherwise you will get the all these operations. What are the contacts are available, performing the CRUD of the contacts. You will get familiar with that here. This is one of the simplest application I'm saying that here. Okay. For this application to develop that here, we required a backend, we required a front end, but this has been, everything is done it in a JavaScript side itself. So this same application, we are going to develop in a backend, like all the required APIs you would be writing, and finally you are going to uh, uh, by using the HTML, your UI, you would be talking to those APIs and you are going to make that as responsive web pages. You are going to create it here, website you are creating. Finally, you are going to deploy into the some cloud service you are going to deploy. So these kind of applications you will develop that here. Even there is something called if you are learning in core Java, hey, what kind of application I am going to develop and I'm going to work on that here. Okay. There is something called the quiz data, like the quiz application. You are going to take it here. Hey, this is your quiz application, quiz data, and you develop this is, I think I have given it as an assignment where you are going to read this JSON file and you are going to show the quiz, and based on the is response, you would be showing that here. Hey, um, like no result you are going to show that here. So this is a one. Okay, this is another simple application where you are going to develop that here. Whatever the examples you are doing in classroom, what are the assignments you are doing here, everything we are going to put it in a, okay, this is a, like no, the PDF application working with the files. Okay, invoice. If you take the invoice there, then there will be a lot of items will be there in invoice. How to convert into the PDF, and this player data. I want to get it as a PDF. How to create a PDF, and how to read from the PDFs. How to read the Excel. These are some of the things we will be learning this. So we will take a requirement. From the requirement, we will convert into the like design documentation. Then finally, you are going to code. And once you code that here, and you are going to deploy and you are going to maintain the application. If something goes wrong, how to see the logs. End-to-end application development you will be taken in during this classroom sessions. So once you complete this course, like at least you can say that here, all the assignments and all the examples, if you practice that, you can claim that here. Like this is a to-do application, one more application. Okay, if you are, I think this has got the front end and back end, both it is having here. Now, if I'm opening with the UI app services terminal, we are going to open. This is a code dot Visual Studio Code. I'm going to open. Okay, where you are going to do this here. Now run, open with the live preview server. So this is the server. If I'm getting here now, the data is not showing. The reason is we can see here network calls might be failing. Okay, if I'm calling here all, this is a failing because my to-do application is not running. That's where we are not getting any data. You're not getting any data. You're not getting that here. Okay, to-do application is running. Okay, stop it and run to-do application. We should be seeing that here. Here it is failed because my application is not running. It is saying that here. Let me stop. Yeah, you can see here. This is a to-do application. And what are the active tasks you would be getting here? Suppose if I'm clicking on this archive task, active task, you can make it as a change the status to the pending. You're changing the status to the pending. You're getting here. This is going to call to the API, and where you are going to, suppose if I want to search some task, okay, we are going to get it as something we are taking here demo. I'm doing here demo. There's something wrong. Okay, yes. This search is not working that great. Okay, there is something wrong here. Yeah, we need to fix that here. This is a development thing. You cannot expect 100% it is a thing. And where you can add the new task, you are going to add it here. How to add the new task. So this is a example where we have taken it as a from UI application. How do you talk to the APIs? This is a place where my service is running. And you can see that here, what are the log messages are printing, everything you can see that here. The same applications, both the applications will deploy in, there's a called the provider called the render.com. This is a place, this this is a place where we can deploy our applications. All these applications has been deployed. Once it's deployed, they will give the one public domain name, and this domain, by using this domain name, anybody can access. And even my database service is also running in this render.com. It is running. You can use the AWS or render.com or GCP, any one of these things you can use it. Okay. I think more or less I'm done. What you can expect in the session and how these things are going to be executed in the session. I explained that here. If you have any questions, I'll take your questions. So does anyone has any questions? Yes, no. Okay. If you don't have any questions, thank you guys. And I hope you learned something from me today. So we will meet soon. Yeah.